He's been a breath of fresh air since he's come to the club.
So I think we can cause him a lot of problems.
I just have a funny feeling for this game.
I'm not going to it. You your World Cup.
Carry on!
Welcome to the pre-match pint in association with London Pride. The international break is over and the weekend is nearly here, so I've snuck out for a lunchtime pint with my mates Natalie Sawyer, Reece Weston and the ambassador Marcus Gale. How are you all?
Very well.
Cheers, long time no see for a lot of you.
Cheers.
It's also, I love basically starting the week with a very special toast, and it is a very special birthday today. It's Mr. Brentford himself, Peter Gillam, so let's
PG.
raise a glass to Peter Gillam. We're down here, by the way,
birthday,
at
Peter.
the home of London Pride, the Fuller's Tap Room and Brewery Shop in Chiswick. Make sure you get down here, Bees fans, as you get a 10% discount. Right, we've always got to say this as well, drink responsibly obviously, but let's get that out of the way nice and early. On Peter though, we spoke about legends in the park. We spoke about Kevin O'Connor not too long ago. We're in the presence of another Brentford legend here.
Natalie, well done.
No, very much you, Marcus.
But with Peter, surely it's a case of one day, where do you want your statue, Peter, or which stand do you want named after you, Natalie?
Oh yeah. I love the idea of a stand. I mean, he might think different. He might want a statue, but I think a stand would be absolutely wonderful and definitely deserves it. What is it? Longest serving stadium announcer as well, and you know, he never loses that enthusiasm, which of course is brilliant because he's a fan anyway, but you know, that roar he gives every time at a game, it's wonderful. So yeah, he deserves all the plaudits today.
And Marcus, I imagine for you, he's been a massive part of your Brentford journey as well.
Yeah, in fact, he done my first ever post-match interview, which didn't go down too well. He's got it on tape somewhere. Yeah, he was asking me questions and half answering it himself because I was too shy. So yeah, he's got that somewhere, Peter. Keep it quiet.
Oh, amazing. And look, we're having a pint here today after the international break. These days, obviously, we don't play on an international break. When I was younger, we were always playing. But also, these days, we also have a lot of international players playing. Again, when I was younger, it was more under 21s and stuff. The headlines, I guess, Christian Eriksen making his comeback for Denmark, scoring 2 great goals. But Natalie, I don't know about for you, but for me, seeing David Raya get called up to Spain gave me a lot of pride at a nation so illustrious as Spain.
Oh, I mean, how appropriate with London Pride and talking of pride, and yeah, absolutely. It was such a wonderful moment to see him called up, and you just think, you know, it's so deserving. He's been brilliant for us. We really did miss him. Obviously, I know we had Alvaro Fernandez and Jonas Lössl step in when he was missing, but you know, he's so pivotal to our forward play as much as our defence. So, yeah, he fully deserved that. And yeah, you're so right. Just to have another Brentford international, it's just this. The recent history of Brentford and our players is just getting, you know, you can't help but being with smiles because it's wonderful.
Well, half of us here are actually international footballers as well, of course. Reece, one of those is yourself, actually, surprisingly.
Formally, Stuart. Thank you.
How did that feel? Can you remember when you got your first call up for Wales? And what was it like? What did it do for you as a player and as a person, I guess?
Yeah, I do remember it, actually. I was supposed to be going down the 21s, and I made my debut for Arsenal at the end of that season. I went straight into the first team squad for a very small knockaround against Brazil, Millennium Stadium, which was pretty cool. I didn't get near the pitch, granted, but you know, just to be in that environment as a young player was incredible. And yeah, it kind of it almost validates your hard work, and you know, gives you a kind of an understanding of, you know, what it's like to be in and amongst that kind of environment. I loved every second of it. Probably not enough as I look back on it. You know, I should have probably enjoyed it a wee bit more. But no, I think from David Raya's perspective, especially, you know, getting into that Spanish squad, which is an unbelievable achievement and fully warranted. And no, it's a special thing. You know, for me, my dad, my grandfather, they were there for my first kind of full cap, and yeah, evokes a lot of pride, a lot of emotion. And I think anyone that represents their country, you know, Marcus will attest to that as well. It's a great honour, it really is.
You were playing against some huge players and also very great pros like Gary Speed and great like Ryan Giggs and all these amazing players. Did it make you a better player?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my career probably doesn't suggest that was the case. But at that time, I think, you know, I think when you look at the, you know, players you revere week in, week out, when you're in that environment with them, you do kind of take a step back and go, wow, it's pretty cool. But the one thing I felt with Wales in particular was there was no hierarchy. Players were well respected within the group, of course. You mentioned Ryan Giggs, Gary Speed, John Hartson was another one. Craig Bellamy was just making his way at that time. But it's just great to be in that environment. And I think you had to raise your game. I was always in the alternative 11 when we're doing kind of walkthroughs and shadow play and the rest of it. And I'll invariably play against Ryan Giggs. But again, just little words of encouragement from someone such as him, it does give you a lot of confidence to go back to your club then. And at that point, a lot of my career was played, League One, Championship, and going back, you do have a little bit of swagger when you go back to your club, and I'm sure we'll see that with David and the rest of the guys coming back from international duty.
And Marcus, we said the other headline being Christian Eriksen returning with Denmark, incredible, and for him to score the goal at the stadium, of course, where everything unfortunately unfolded last year. From a selfish point of view, as a Brentford fan, how big would that be, him getting another 2 games under his belt when we had a break, and even more closer to fitness? I know he hasn't looked like he's been kind of unfit, so to speak, but getting that sharpness back with 2 goals in 2 games for Denmark.
It's a fairy tale for him, isn't it? He went through the trauma of last year, and he's bounced back. He's been a breath of fresh air since he's come to the club. And I think both parties needed each other. I think Eriksen needed a club like Brentford to come back into. And we've needed someone with that sort of experience and quality that he's delivered on the pitch, and it's just fitting that he can come back to that top level, score the goals that he's done. It looks like he's never been away or ever had a problem, and in fact, it probably looks like he's improving as he's going with age as well. So we're going to get the best of him for the remainder of this season for sure.
And a place that he likes to play is, of course, Stamford Bridge, as we embark on a month of London derbies, actually, which is unusual. April, all 4 games being London derbies. Natalie, how big, it sounds obvious, is this game? It's a weird one. I was speaking to my friend who's a Chelsea fan, and he said the theme of their season has been dropping points to, I know, teams like Brentford. It is that thing, and he did kind of use that phrase, but he didn't mean it being rude, but they're aiming for Champions League football here. Because of the theme of their season, are we going into this game going, we've got every chance here, especially on the back of back-to-back wins?
Well, do you know what? On paper, we shouldn't be winning this game. Their squad is far superior to ours. They're up in the top 3 for a reason, obviously. But I just have a funny feeling for this game. When we go back to the game at Brentford, where obviously even Ben Chilwell afterwards referred to it as hell out there. It was the Alamo. It was only Edouard Mendy that kept them in the game, really, and then they won it obviously through that Chilwell goal. But I don't know, with Eriksen in the squad as well, I just feel as though that's an added obviously element to our team that means that we can go to Stamford Bridge. I feel a little bit more optimistic. Even that defeat to Leicester, I don't know if we should have lost that game. We're really unlucky. So there's a lot of positives to take from our squad, I think, going into this game at Chelsea. It's not an easy place to go. They've only lost once in the Premier League all season there, so it's not going to be easy. But I just have a funny feeling that we might be able to get something out of this game.
Well, Marcus, you got something out of a game at Stamford Bridge 26 years ago, didn't you, with Wimbledon?
What?
Also scored a goal there. I watched it back, actually, and look, I know your Wimbledon
black
team.
and white?
but your Wimbledon team is known for being quite direct at times. And look, you'll probably be able to say honestly, the goals you scored weren't your one-touch balls around the corner and stuff, were they? It was a long throw and 2 quite long kicks and an element of luck for Neil Ardley's other goal. I'm not believing it. You've been your World Cup.
Carry on, come on.
Right.
I'm loving
Do you want to bring Luke back? He's over there. Just to get him back in. Might as well.
Stay there.
But do you know what I mean? What did you guys say that day? Because, again, you were similar stature to us going into a game at Stamford Bridge with superstars like Hullet, Vialli, all those kind of people. So what did you guys say before that game? Were you going, let's play at our strengths? And what was the chat in the change room before?
The build-up was that week. Don't forget, it was on a run. I think that was part of a 7-game winning streak, which the Premier League don't talk about. We went on a 7-game winning streak, and that build-up to that week, it was ignited with a comment from Frank Leboeuf that he said we shouldn't be at this level. Who are we? We're not deserved to be against teams like Chelsea. And we didn't need words before the game because that was pinned up in the changing room. But the week of that game was, we knew exactly what we wanted to do. Everybody knew exactly what detail they had to perform to and carried it out. Was we expecting to win? No. We was expected to unsettle them and try and get something out of the game. We never thought that we'd come away 4-2 winners.
I think that's a good point there, is if you all knew your individual battles right. If I do my job, I know the person next to me is going to do their job. I think, again, going back to the teams that have picked up points from similar stature clubs like ourselves, so look at Burnley and Everton, who have both got results. That Everton squad that went there was a very young Everton side, I think, when they played their Brentford, getting the goal at the end. With this game, Reece, I looked at the stats on this game again. It was like 25 shots to 5, but then when you look at Chelsea's shots on target, it was 4. So is it a case of just stay in the game? And what happens if we go 1-0 down? What do you do then?
Yeah, I think it is stay in the game, because again, with the hugest amount of respect, it's not going to define our season Saturday, you know. So to Natalie's point, I think we can go with a lot of confidence. I think arguably Chelsea's second half at home was the best we've played this season, you know, without actually getting anything out of it. And again, they've not been immaculate at home, and they're fallible. And I think, you know, a team such as Brentford, if we apply ourselves correctly, which the last 3 games have shown we're in the groove to do so, I think we can cause them a lot of problems. And yes, absolutely, I think we talked about when we went away to Liverpool. Liverpool's a free hit. You know, do you want to go into Liverpool game and have a real go at them and try and unsettle them? But it's a little bit different, I think. It's a London derby, and I think, you know, Marcus was saying prior to coming on air that, you know, staying in the game is absolutely crucial, because at 1-0 down with our set plays, with our kind of work ethic, and I think we're always going to have a chance. And Chelsea will get a little bit nervy, I think. If there's a goal separating us going into the last 15-20 minutes, then we've got a chance. And I think it's key. You know, I don't think we need to start, you know, come out the traps flying, be open, give Chelsea, you know, opportunity. I think we'll concede a lot of possession. That's a given. But I think, yes, stay in the game for as long as possible, and then, you know, with the quality Christian Eriksen's providing at the moment, you know, a set play, a long throw, anything like that can get us back into the game instantly. And I think that's again, if it was down to me, that's the kind of message I'd be giving to the guys is, you know, be competitive, be combative, but hang in there as long as possible.
It's kind of being that box clever, Natalie, isn't it? It's kind of, when we're in the final third, for example, there could be times where certain players get isolated because you're probably going to be backed in, and then if you're breaking, say you're Brian or Johan or Sergio or Ivan, and you see you're isolated, using your body to, call it gamesmanship or whatever, buying a free kick, and then you can, because we know how dangerous we can be from set pieces, right?
Oh, absolutely. And you know, and as we've already mentioned, with the Christian Eriksen side, with Josh De Silva now available as well, we've got threats going forward.
Josh coming back from his ban now, isn't it?
We've got threats going forward,
yeah.
and players in that Brentford squad that Chelsea haven't played against this season. So that's the extra little elements that we've got going into this game, where we can be a bit more confident and feel as though we have, even if it's, as you say, 1-0 down in 70 odd minutes, we've got game changers who might come off the bench. Yeah. It is all about staying in the game, making sure that Chelsea, if they have scored, it's only like by 1 goal that they lead. Chelsea don't tend to score bags full of goals. So that's something that we've got going for us this season and coming into this game. But it's all about, you know, playing to our strengths. But I agree, I don't expect us to come out flying and we'll concede possession and we'll just bide our time. But that's how we've been playing all season. And, you know, at times it's paid dividends for us, so that's what we've got to do.
They've got 3 games in 6 days as well, remember. They've got Real Madrid on the horizon on Wednesday. League-wise, they're probably... Real Madrid?
Real Madrid, no, mate.
Oh, right.
Not long.
Small, yeah. Small test, yeah.
With league position, they're likely to get Champions League qualification ready. They want to be defending the Champions League from last year. So do you think they will have one eye on that game on Wednesday, Reece?
Yeah. Definitely.
Do you think that will influence their team selection?
They always say they don't have one eye, but they don't. Is that true?
I think they'll be
Especially with an
wary
international
of
break where they've had a lot of people away as well, where they maybe be looking, people that have been away, rest and get them ready for Real Madrid. Don't get me wrong, the team that stayed was probably pretty good anyway.
But they're not going to win the league, are they?
No.
That's the reality of it, and they've got a better than average chance of getting qualification for the Champions League via the league campaign. So absolutely, of course, 100% they'll be looking at Real Madrid going, you know, what can we get away with on Saturday? And listen, at this stage of the season, you know, what's eight games left now?
Yeah.
You know, this is the business end of the season for us. So I think there's a great opportunity for Brentford to go to Chelsea and really kind of set a cat amongst the pigeons, if I can use the cat analogy.
I think this is the tricky game for Chelsea, because when we played them back in October, their reaction was that was like a cup final in that second half. So they were expecting that sort of battling quality, that never give up quality from us. So I think they'll have one eye on us, thinking we cannot take liberties against Brentford on Saturday.
Would you play like you did that day at Wimbledon? Get in their faces, be horrible.
Yeah.
Let's punt balls into
they're
the box.
they could be made vulnerable for sure. And I think we just got to start as we mean to go on, and get stuck into them. We've got the quality of players to do that.
Jamie's putting the clock up at me, so we've got to wrap it
Oh,
up.
yeah.
I know, that's it already, but what I'm going to say, obviously it is a month of London derbies, so put down in the comments below your favourite London derby memories. Have you guys got any? I've put you on the spot a bit here. Again, I'm going to say one straight away. It was a fantastic bank holiday weekend away at Craven Cottage. It's one of my favourite ever Brentford games, to be honest.
Yeah, I was there. It was fantastic.
I mean, Jamie was kind of there. If you want to dig me out and make me stop early, I'm going to say that I don't know if you remember any of that match. Always drink responsibly, of course. I think you'd had a few London prides on the way up. Reece played in some amazing London derbies, I imagine.
No, I never played any London derbies. No, I wasn't good enough to play in the Arsenal First Team Free League at the time.
Wimbledon?
Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon, no.
Okay.
I didn't really play for them either.
Should have done my research. Have you ever watched a London derby?
Yes, still watch Thierry Henry at Highbury for me. There you go.
Yeah.
When he sat down half their team, you know, it's not relevant to Brentford, but it's still a decent memory for London derby. Anyway,
Marcus,
thanks for that, Stu.
Won't make the cut.
No pressure.
Where's Jonathan? Sorry, mate. Marcus.
I've been around too long
But
to
you scored
remember.
when you beat Fulham 4-0 and you haven't said that
But
straight
I'm
away.
still a bit bitter about that because I set 2 up, scored 1, and I didn't come away with the man of the match.
Who got man of the match?
I think it was Neil Smiley. The opposite winner. That was a great day that we remember.
Yeah, well, look, as I say, put down in the comments below your favourite London derby memories, and safe journey to all of you that are making the short trip to Stamford Bridge tomorrow, and we'll be back next week, hopefully talking about 3 points that we've brought back to our corner of West London. You Reds!